Okay, it's on the website now.
I just
So you might know
Hello, check, check.
and
Okay.
give my regards.
Yes, hello, hello.
Yes, give my regards to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning to our friends in the media here in Brussels, and good afternoon to those coming from the Philippines and other parts of Asia via Zoom. Welcome to today's press conference for the International People's Tribunal happening tomorrow, May 17th to 18th, here in Brussels, Belgium. A quick reminder that this press conference and the proceedings in the next 2 days are live streamed. Join us online by going to peoplestribunal.net/stream or follow us on our socials at People's Tribunal PH. Again, welcome to the IPT press conference. The IPT is a quasi-judicial tribunal that aims to address and investigate war crimes charges against the US-supported Marcos Jr. and Duterte regimes. The IPT this year is convened by the International Association of Democratic Lawyers and the Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle. We are joined today in the panel by IADL Transitional President and Secretary General of the National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL, Attorney Edre Olalia. Next to Edre is Robert Reed, Chairperson of the Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle and former longtime union leader at First Union based in Auckland, New Zealand. We are also joined by witnesses and resource persons who will be participating in the upcoming tribunal, starting with Junila Castro, youth activist and community organizer from the local group Alliance for the Defense of Livelihood, Housing and Environment in Manila Bay, or ACAPCA Manila Bay. Junila is a victim of enforced disappearance and fake surrender by the Philippine state. We also have Ariel Ayik Casilao, who is the national president of Anak Pawi's party list. He served the 17th Congress of the Philippine House of Representatives from 2016 to 2019. Next in the panel is Jeannie Rose Hayahay, who is a woman human rights defender based in Mindanao, Southern Philippines. She is the spokesperson of the Save Our Schools Network, a network of child-focused NGOs, church-based groups, and other stakeholders who bring attention to and take action on ongoing children's rights violations in the Philippines. And our last speaker for today is Teodoro Teddy Casino, who is a former member of the Philippine House of Representatives and current chairperson of the Bagong Alyansang Makabayan, or New Patriotic Alliance, a multisectoral alliance of democratic and patriotic people's organizations in the Philippines. They will be speaking in the same order as I introduce them, after which they will respond to questions from the media. Also, I would like to acknowledge with us in the room today is Ka Euphemia Kulyamat, former member of the Philippine House of Representatives, and also Haley Pecayo, youth activist who was terror tagged by the Philippine government. They are both serving as witnesses to the International People's Tribunal. A reminder also to all our media participants that you can access the IPT press kit via the QR code on screen. So now I give the floor to our speaker, starting with Edre.
Okay. Good day. Good morning here in Brussels, and good afternoon in the Philippines to our countrymen there and our media friends. Small correction. I'm now serving as the chairperson of the National Union of People's Lawyers. The IADL, or the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, is a co-convener of the Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle. And as co-convener, this is just a continuation of its involvement in previous people's tribunals, probably 3 or 4 already in the past, and consistent with the position of the IADL to call out armed forces to comply and respect the laws of war, or IHL, International Humanitarian Law. From the Nuremberg trials during the Second World War to the war of aggression in Vietnam, including the use of Agent Orange, to the war of aggression in Afghanistan and Iraq, and presently to the conflict or situation in Ukraine, and presently the genocide in Palestine. Now we are here to convene the International People's Tribunal, focusing on war crimes, which is distinct from the previous tribunals. And IADL is very much involved, not only as a convener, but also its individual members from our national associations all over the world are actively participating in the process. And we have advised the organizers to ensure that the standard of evidence is met in the tribunal, that the rules of procedure are complied with, and that the process be solemn, and that due process rights are respected. So, what is the value of holding a people's tribunal? Well, the tribunal, just as many others, I think there are already 50 or so, will not only provide a deterrent for future abuses, but also document and preserve evidence for existing and, more importantly, future legal action. It also provides an impetus, a new platform to lobby or pressure the Philippine government to observe and be held accountable for violations. And also, not the least, of course, to memorialize the heroes and the martyrs and the victims of the atrocities of the violations or violations of IHL. And finally, the tribunal, as you will witness in the next 2 days, is a parallel or alternative legal or quasi-judicial, if you may, platform, which is a credible and viable alternative to the tedious, complicated, protracted, inadequate even, status quo friendly existing legal remedies and judicial arenas that do not essentially and fundamentally bring true justice to the people. So why now? Why now? We are convening this tribunal simply because the times call for it. The intensity and the scope of the armed conflict in the Philippines, the ruthlessness of the atrocities committed by the Philippine government, the severity of the violations of the laws of war had made it imperative to call out and make the perpetrators answerable for the outrages against the Filipino people and those who resist oppression and exploitation. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Bonjour, mabuhay, kia ora. My name is Robert Reed, and I'm chair of the Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle. Our organization has existed just for 3 years, but to support the 50-year struggle of the National Democratic Forces in the Philippines and their struggle for national and social liberation for the Filipino people. Tomorrow, as you've heard, we will join with the International Association of Democratic Lawyers to sponsor and convene this International People's Tribunal of war crimes committed through the US-directed counter-revolutionary war in the Philippines. The tribunal has been established to throw the light on what is happening in the Philippines today. While the world's attention is focused quite correctly on the atrocities and genocide being committed in Palestine, the US-backed war on the people of the Philippines continues. Some 30,000 people have been killed by the war on drugs, bombing, strafing, executions, kidnapping of Filipino people over the last decade. The opportunity to negotiate a peace agreement has been thrown away by both the Duterte and the Marcos Duterte regimes. This tribunal has been established to show that the world is watching. The US-backed Marcos Duterte regime must be held to account. This tribunal provides a mechanism to do that. The tribunal will show that the US-backed war criminals don't exist just in Israel, but also in the Philippines. They think they can get away with murder and act in that way. Marcos Jr. and Duterte have both massacred civilians and recklessly bombed entire communities with impunity in the name of their counterinsurgency operations designated and financed by the US government. The Filipinos people's pursuit of justice is not simply a national concern, but a matter of global importance. The atrocities committed by Marcos Jr. and Duterte, with the full support of the US, demand a unified and unequivocal response from the international community. And tomorrow, they will have their day in the People's Court.
Hello everyone. I am Janina Castro, from a member of ACAPCO Manila Bay, and also the advocacy officer from Kalikasan People's Network from the Environment and Environmental Organization in the Philippines. So I am here to share what happened. I will be attending the IPT to share what happened to me and my fellow environmental advocate, Jed Tamano, when we were abducted by state forces and forced to be presented as former armed rebels and fake surrenderers in a press conference. Also, to show that what happened to us is not an isolated case. We are not the only victims of enforced disappearances and fake enforced surrender in the Philippines. There has been a pattern of missing activists later presented in a that will be later presented in a press conference as a former armed rebel and a fake surrender. So I chose to come to the IPT to seek justice for me and Jed, also to carry the cases of other victims of enforced disappearances and fake enforced surrenders. Also hoping that my testimony will call the attention of different bodies and courts that the counterinsurgency program of the Philippine government has been falsely targeting and attacking us civilians and activists as combatants, and that is a violation of the international humanitarian law. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, and to our media friends in the Philippines. Magandang hapon. I am here to testify on behalf of the surviving family of Randall Echaniz, or Karandi. I am here to testify on behalf of the thousands of members and colleagues of Karandi in the Anak Pawis Party, as he was the national chairperson prior to his brutal killing. I am here to testify in the International People's Tribunal on behalf of the hundreds of widows and families of peasant leaders, land reform activists, and advocates who fell victim to the continuing violations to human rights and international humanitarian law of the previous Duterte administration and the present Marcos Jr. administration. I am here to testify in the International People's Tribunal since the Philippine justice system tremendously failed to deliver justice for almost 4 years since the brutal murder of an unarmed, let me emphasize, unarmed consultant to the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, a known, a recognized leader of the Philippine peasant movement, NDFP, and Anak Pawis chairperson, Randall Echaniz. While the Philippine Department of Justice created a special task force, Randall Echaniz, to look into the murder of Karandi, after almost 4 years, the status of the case is still under investigation. Let the International People's Tribunal serve both as a warning and a reminder to to the present President Marcos Jr. and the previous Duterte, former President Duterte, and the US government that their atrocities will never be forgotten, nor will they go unpunished.
Maayong adlaw sa tanan. Good day, everyone. I am here today and will be participating to the International People's Tribunal in behalf of Lumad schools, indigenous schools in southern part of the Philippines, that is in Mindanao. So I will also like to share in person the story, what we've experienced, and the attacks happening on our Lumad schools, indigenous schools, in guise of counter-insurgency. This is during Duterte's administration. For during those 6 years, we experienced a lot. We experienced extrajudicial killings, indiscriminate firings, aerial bombardment of Lumad communities, massacre, threat, harassment, intimidation, vilification, enforced disappearance of our families, and the forcible closure and destruction of all Lumad schools in Mindanao. So I will stand as the witness and ask the international community and this tribunal to listen to us, the witness, because as of speaking, there was no justice on us, on the Lumad schools. And during and even after Duterte administration, we are still seeking justice and accountability. Daghang salamat.
Bonjour, good morning. And to our friends in the Philippines, magandang hapon po. We thank the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, the Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle, and the International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines for convening this international tribunal on the war crimes of the Duterte and Marcos regimes. There are two things that makes this tribunal quite unique. One is that it focuses on violations of international humanitarian law, or what is commonly known as war crimes, which are actually more difficult to investigate and to seek justice and accountability for, compared, for example, to ordinary crimes, even to the drug war in the Philippines, which somehow has made some headway in terms of justice and accountability. But as far as IHL is concerned, practically nothing has been done to give justice to the victims. Aside from that, what makes this unique is that the IPT also impledes the US government in the charge. As we all know, no state-backed international body, not the International Criminal Court, not the International Court of Justice, or even the United Nations Human Rights Council, has so far took to task the US government for its complicity in the war crimes committed by its puppet regimes, in this case, the Marcos and Duterte regimes. So I will be testifying precisely on the role of the US government in aiding, financing, training, and supplying the Duterte and Marcos regimes' counterinsurgency programs. Just as the US is behind the genocide in Palestine, so is the US behind the widespread and systematic violations of human rights and international humanitarian law in the Philippines. Under Duterte and Marcos, the Philippines was actually the biggest recipient of US military assistance in the Indo-Pacific, receiving more than 48.6 billion pesos in military assistance under the Duterte regime. This is expected to increase by leaps and bounds under the Marcos regime, with his pivot back to the United States. In fact, last April, the US Congress passed a bill for an additional $500 million in foreign military financing to the Philippines. Philippine military officials get their training from US schools and military advisors. So this includes the counterinsurgency doctrines that result in massive war crimes and IHL violations on the ground. So we hope that through the International People's Tribunal, a deeper and broader understanding of international humanitarian law violations can be made to include the role of foreign governments, particularly the United States, so that justice and accountability can be achieved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to all of our speakers. We now move to questions from the media. Just a reminder, especially those joining us via Zoom, to please use the raise hand function, and we will call on you to speak. You can also use the chat function to type in your questions for those joining via Zoom. We can start with questions from the floor here in Brussels. Yes, Mr.
I'm Turkish media. No, Nick, don't worry. So my first question will be for Mr. Edgar. So there is many other communities struggling for the freedom and democracy, as well as justice as well all over the world. So you mentioned some countries and some communities, such as, let's say, Basque, Catalan people, Galicia, Palestinians, as well as Kurdish people and Cypriots in the Middle East as well. As you know, the Cyprus is a divided island. So many other countries continue to their struggle for their own freedom and democracy. How all these communities, which has common struggle, can work in harmony to break the oppression on them, together with the Philippines as well. So my second question is for Ms. Rose. Ms. Rose, you talked about your experience about the school and your experience there. So can you get education in your mother language or any native language in Philippines? How is the education? Is it in your mother language? And secondly, the biggest community in the world, which has no nations, is the Kurdish people from the Middle East. The country has been divided into 4 different countries, such as Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. So, but they are not available to get education in their mother language. Also in Turkey, which is the northern Kurdistan, the Kurdish language has been banned. So how can the Philippines and Kurdish students can come together to fight against this mother language ban? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, generally, it all boils down to strengthening, expanding, developing, and cultivating international solidarity among struggling peoples all over the world, where people are oppressed, no? Like the nations and peoples and communities that you mentioned and that I mentioned. But in relation to the tribunal, because this is just one form of expression, we can share experiences, we can share our insights, our support, we can share our solidarity in many ways by cooperating with those peoples and organizations in different countries. Because as a matter of fact, this is not the first time that people's tribunals have been held. No? Many, which covers quite a variety of issues. No? Not only human rights, not only international maritime law, environmental issues, no? Gender issues. So in the concrete, we can get together. As a matter of fact, somebody from a nation is already asking us to help them organize and give our thoughts and insights in holding their own people's tribunal with respect to their situation, because there are different situations, different conditions, although there is a common thread that they belong, these circumstances, they have a common thread that they are a result of oppression, of imperialist aggression, of violations of double standard, as a matter of fact, double standard even in the international legal order, ranging from outright violations of international humanitarian law, diplomatic cover, like in the United Nations Security Council, where the permanent members have presented obstacles against almost unanimous calls for stop to certain crimes of international law. Okay.
Yes. Hi, sir. Good day again. So yes, we do have our own native language or a dialect, and the Lumad schools, indigenous schools in Mindanao, we have our own curriculum. It's indigenous people's curriculum, drafted and crafted according to the needs of this IP, of these indigenous people, students and teachers. So just to note that this school is an effort of the community. So it is not the effort of this it is not the effort of first the church-based group, though they're just helping, but it is community schools. So we have our big wins, small wins, and losses. So even if we experience those extrajudicial killings, the forcible closure of our schools. But before those attacks happened, we were able to build hundreds of Lumad schools across Mindanao, serving indigenous children. We have our own curriculum, so we're teaching the students their using their dialect. So it's not Bisaya, it's not Filipino, Tagalog, it's their own dialect, it's native dialect. And we have the permit to operate from the Department of Education in the Philippines. So maybe we can share the experience, how we were able to build these schools, how these schools serve as the resistance of these indigenous communities against mining, illegal logging, and other plunders happening in Mindanao, Philippines. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next question comes from Zoom. I'm gonna call on Adrian Ayalin from ABS-CBN News.
Good afternoon. I would like to ask, how would you address the observation or perhaps criticism that if and when the accused are proven guilty, there are no
Hello,
sanctions
Adrian.
or hello?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Yes.
Thank you.
How will you address the observation or perhaps criticism that if and when the accused are proven guilty, we are not talking of imprisonment or any possible sanctions against them. Maybe any of the maybe Attorney Edre and Mr. Reed.
Adrian, there's a time for everything. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe the next generations. History has proven that there's a time for reckoning. It has been proven. Maybe not during the time the oppression and exploitation and oppression is happening, but at the right time, with the people's movements, social movements, it will come. It will come. Remember, the Nuremberg trials took so many years before it was concluded. The accused were already octogenarians, remember? The Marcos class suit. It only was concretized, the compensation was concretized, let me see, during the time, Teddy, of President Aquino? President Aquino. Many years after, right? There will be time. So, as I said, one of the values, added value of People's Tribunal is to preserve, document evidence. Because I remember there were some claimants, no, in the violations, they couldn't present evidence because it happened decades ago. So that is one of the values, Adrian, of holding this tribunal, ensuring though that they are well documented, that they can stand up to legal standards. This is not pure propaganda. You will witness tomorrow how meticulous, how methodical, how systematic, how how credible the evidence is going to be presented. Okay ba yan? Nasagot ka ba, Adrian?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Salamat din. Salamat din.
Another question. For the side of the accused, is there anyone appearing for Marcos and Duterte?
Well, the latest information that we got from the panel of jurors and the clerk of court is that they have not yet expressed any intention to participate, although to ensure due process, they were notified duly and asked to inform the convenors as well as the panel of jurors or judges as they are, whether or not they're going to participate, when are they going to participate, and in what manner are they going to participate. The clerk of court and even the prosecutors, I understand, is incumbent upon them to prove that due notice was given to the defendants, and it's going to happen tomorrow. I understand the panel of jurors have authorized one of their members to serve the summons or the notice, enclosing the indictment or the charges, enclosing the calendar, the witnesses, no, the cases that are going to be covered, and the rules of evidence. The tribunal has its own rules of evidence. It's therefore for the public to study, to scrutinize, and see whether it is up to par to international legal standards. So the short answer is they have been notified, and I understand the panel of jurors are ready to have them and give them their day in the People's Court.
Lastly, may I know who will comprise the panel of jurors? Are the convenors also the jurors?
Okay.
Okay. You can check the press kit for the profile of all the jurors and conveners and the prosecutors. We will send the press kit link on Zoom chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
please. Okay, thank you.
Dagdagan ko, pwede.
Sige.
Dagdagan ko lang, Adrian, no? I'm speaking
Yes,
in the
sir.
Filipino language. I just said that I just want to add. Well, part of ensuring the integrity and credibility of the process is that the convenors are not going to be involved institutionally or organizationally in the process. If there are any lawyers who happen to be members of the IADL as a convener, they are there as individual lawyers representing their own organizations. So that ensures that there is independence, objectivity, and credibility, Adrian.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Salamat
Thank you,
din.
sir.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. The next question comes from Ida Morden from Batingao, Australia. Ida?
No promise.
Okay, I will call on next Jane Bautista
From which out?
from Philippine Daily Inquirer. Okay, we will read the message instead. Question from Jane. What are the specific cases to be filed against the Marcos and Duterte administrations? Will there be specific personalities who will be named as respondents?
Okay. The question is what specific charges? Okay. Well, there are three basic charges in the indictment. We can show you in detail, but basically it's about violations of international humanitarian law, ranging from indiscriminate bombardment, massacres, hamletting, fake surrenders, extrajudicial killings, bombing of schools, arbitrary arrests, terrorist tagging, red tagging, which by itself is an attack. Huh? Red tagging is an attack. It's not just labeling. It's an attack because it puts those being red tagged as open to incitement to violence. There's a lot of cases and incidents to be covered. I don't want to preempt the specific cases, and we invite you to it's going to be live stream, right? We invite you to watch so that you can see for yourselves the range or the gamut of violations that have been happening during the two regimes, or administrations of Duterte and Marcos. So, but basically, it's about war crimes. Yeah.
Thank you. And just a reminder, yes, the entire proceedings from May 17th to 18th will all be live streamed. Please go to peoplestribunal.net/stream for all the links that you will need. Next question comes from D. Van Kampenhout. Will the results of IPT 2024... he's going to speak. Yes. Van Kampenhout, can you come in?
From where?
Hello. You can speak now, D. Van
Okay,
Kampenhout.
the
Yep.
mic was off. Yeah, so my name is Dirk van Kampenhout from the Netherlands. I'm involved with the Philippines since 1986 and also with human rights, and I'm still following up everything, doing translations from English to Dutch when there are news articles for NFS. But my question is, do the results of the IPT 2024 has an impact on the running case in The Hague in the International Criminal Court concerning the drugs war of former President Duterte? So that is my question, and at the moment there's not much information. The ICC is still investigating the case, and the last rumor is there can still be an arrest order towards perpetrators while the case is still running. So I'm very interested if it has an impact, and if, for example, the report will also be submitted to the ICC as extra evidence for the case. So that's my question.
Thank you. The ICC investigation itself covers the drug war of former President Duterte. So the incidents to be covered by the IPT are different, whereas the ICC covered extrajudicial killings related to the war on drugs of Duterte. The IPT also covers extrajudicial killings, also covers similar tactics used by Duterte in the drug war, but the victims are different. The victims here are not drug suspects. The victims here are usually activists or community organizers or ordinary farmers suspected of sympathizing with the communist rebel movement in the Philippines. So that is the relation. There is no direct relation. But of course, I think this is a complementary. These will be complementary processes because as far as the kinds of violations and the tactics used during the drug war, a lot of them were eventually applied to the counterinsurgency program of the Duterte regime, which continues under the Marcos regime. So that would be the relation. Of course, we are supporting efforts in the ICC to hold Duterte accountable for his drug war.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Bridget Engel from ASTM. Good morning. What do you expect from the decision published by the Supreme Court of the Philippines taken on May 8th on the red tagging? Can it be of any help?
Any help to what?
Probably not as far as the IPT is concerned, but definitely as far as activists are concerned, as far as human rights defenders and advocates are concerned, this is a welcome decision by the Philippine Supreme Court, because finally there is a court that categorically determines that red tagging is a danger to the lives of those who are victims of such practices. But probably, unless the witnesses will have something to say about it, I think it is more tangential as far as the IPT is concerned.
You have a response to that?
Well, it has its own value, no? Legal and moral and political value. But I don't want to preempt the panel of jurors, of course, no? But I would understand and anticipate that they will be made aware of the Supreme Court decision. It's an en banc decision, by the way, to be able to appreciate the context of the violations, no? Because red tagging is only one form of attack, no? And it can be connected to the IHL, and then it can be there for the jurors to appreciate whether or not is it a response to the violation, or is it does it fall short in addressing the violations, or is it are we overreading the decision because it's going to be heard still? I have read the case. The specific case is still going to be heard by the trial court, but nonetheless, as steady as said, for the first time, in fact, after a long time, because there have been many victims already who have fallen, the Supreme Court has spoken that it's not only the victims here who are talking about red tagging, it's not only the mass organizations who are talking about red tagging, it's actually a Supreme Court that says there is red tagging and it is a threat to life, liberty, and security. So they can validate. It can validate what the witnesses are going to say for the next 2 days. Yeah.
It must be noted that the Supreme Court, the decision or the, with regards to red tagging is a result of a long time collective assertion of the victims, not only from the National Democratic organizations, but also even from the media, the doctors, the lawyers who have been red tagged in the previous administration and even continuing in the present administration. And how this decision could be a deterrent to future, it remains to be seen. And despite the Supreme Court ruling, it seems that the machineries of the Marcos Jr. administration, the continuing operation of the National Task Force to end local communist armed conflict, and the entire internal security plan is unchanged. Therefore, it continues to target, continues to identify even non-combatants as combatants in one basket, continues to identify government critics, political opposition, activists, and even revolutionaries as one that they can be targeting any day, anytime. So again, it's another level of struggle to assert that this mechanism can be used in favor of to the victims and to the people in general.
Thank you. Any questions from the floor here in the room? None. I will call on now Ida Moran from Batingao, Australia. Ida, can you unmute?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Magandang araw sa ating lahat na nakikinig at nanonood sa ating Zoom. My question is pertaining to war crimes. May I ask if there has been an International People's Tribunal previously? Is this the first time that an International People's Tribunal that will be held tomorrow for 2 days will be held?
You can.
International People's Tribunals are quite a long-established mechanism, going right back to the late 70s and 80s, where the Italian senator, I think, put up a permanent People's Tribunal. And in some ways, the importance of them and the usefulness of them can be seen going right back to that time. And that is to put in a legal framework and to test the evidence, to test the veracity, to test the truth, what victims or others are saying about what has happened to them in a courtroom situation. And so it's not just the what happens at the end and what the verdict is, but I know for the international solidarity movement, it is making sure that those testimonies and how they are heard are actually put out there around the globe so that others can hear it. And I guess the best way to answer your question in some ways is I think we were talking before, I think there's been the 1980, 2007, there's been about 3, 4, 5. This is independent of the Permanent People's Tribunal, but goes along in a similar line. But I know from my own experience of sitting in what you could call in a isolated New Zealand at the bottom of the world, there was the results of that 1980s tribunal that opened our eyes to what was happening in the Philippines and got a whole generation within our country active in supporting the Filipino people's struggle on one hand, but also to ensure that more and more crimes against the people were not committed by, in that time, the original Marcos dictatorship. And now we're bringing forward to the time of the Marcos Jr. / Duterte regime. So the short answer is yes, and they have had a significant impact over the last few years. But
Thanks
that was
for
your
that, Robert.
preliminary question. You've probably got another one.
Yes, there is. It is just a precursor of the next question. The next question is this International People's Tribunal to be held tomorrow will specifically focus on the Philippines.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And if it's focusing on the Philippines, and particularly according to Teddy, that the uniqueness of this IPT is it will focus more on war crimes in the Philippines. So which I understand, which means that in other IPTs that has touched the Philippine condition have not done that. Why and what specific war crimes? We know that there are so many crimes in the Philippines. However, to focus specifically on war crimes, what particular could you give us elaborate more on that particular focus, rather than, for example, as you have said, and we know that the crimes of Duterte and Marcos's focuses more on AGK, for example, disappearances and all that. So how is it going to be different?
Let me amplify on what I generally mentioned earlier. The violations before the tribunal are violations in the context of the ongoing armed conflict. Because human rights violations can happen even if there is no armed conflict. Basic
Correct.
right? So that's the uniqueness, no? That's the more positive term, the uniqueness of this tribunal. And then the basic premise is that international humanitarian law must, because wars happen, they happen all over the world. Even as we speak, there are a lot of conflicts all over the world. But there are basic rules, and it's called international humanitarian law. So the uniqueness of the tribunal tomorrow and the day after is that it highlights these violations in the context of the ongoing civil war between two armed forces. The armed forces of the government of the Republic of the Philippines on the one hand, and the armed forces of the National Democratic Front of the Philippines on the other hand, but in particular focusing on its impact on the primary protected persons. And what are the primary protected persons? Civilians, civilian communities. That is the basic rule in international law. You do not, you follow certain rules of distinction, for instance, no? You distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. You distinguish between combatants and those who cease to become combatants, or the combat they call under IHL. So that explains why this tribunal is focused on war crimes. Even if I may just quickly add, certain violations can be both violations of human rights and violations of IHL, EJK. Because if you kill summarily somebody who is sleeping and you said that he is a peace consultant, that is an extrajudicial killing. But in the context of the armed conflict, that is a violation of international humanitarian law at the same time. So this is more of a focus approach to highlighting violations against protected persons, protected entities like schools, hospitals, protected persons like ICRC, for instance, no? Humanitarian organizations, by the way, humanitarian organizations, they are protected. If they enter certain areas in the community to render aid to the civilian population, they should be protected. So those are the violations. Hindi ko nakuha pangalan ni of Aida. Nasagot ka ba, Aida?
Sorry.
Have I addressed your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for that. That actually clarifies my my confusion about not really confusion. By the way, I am actually an ex-political prisoner. In the 70s. So now because the rule of war, the law of armed conflict in that can be classified into war crimes, for example. So if there is an ongoing armed conflict between the government and the National Democratic Front in the Philippines, and we are saying that it most often than not, the civilians are affected, and that is covered under the international humanitarian law. However, are there conditions where those who are actually in the front of the armed conflict were there what you call violate war crimes that is being war crimes that are being done by the government regarding those that have been captives of the conflict.
Thank you.
And will that be are there witnesses that will, for example, tortures and other types of crimes against during conflicts? Will there be what testimony, for example, even in paper, on the various types of really war crimes associated with those who are really fighting.
Thank you, Aida. I think we will take this last question, and another one I think is very related to this question from Felix for Sandigan Reporter in Sydney, Australia. Certain members of the tribunal declared that the accused will be held to account. So, who or which organization will hold the accused to account, and how is this going to be enforced and when? I think this has already been answered, but if you have any last few words to respond to the questions. And then after this, we will ask the panel to give final words to wrap up.
Very quickly, Aida. While I said that primarily the object or the purpose of IHL is protect civilians and civilian communities. At the same time, though not on an equal status, combatants are also protected, or the combat are also protected. So there should be no what's this? In some purposes, ano yun? Yung desecration of remains, for instance, no? Or the combat. If they're wounded, you bring them to the hospital. You don't let them bleed to death, no? Civilians who are unarmed or are identified but are really unarmed, they are also protected. Combatants are protected because IHL, I'm not trying to educate you, but IHL, it arose from the idea before that no quarters given, right? In a long period of time, there were no rules. Everything's fair game, cruelty, barbarity, needless violence, no? So IHL was developed precisely to answer those atrocities. And this was expressed in the 1949 Geneva Conventions, which was a product, or no, not product, a consequence of the Second World War, where we saw so many atrocities. So hindi lang civilians, even the combatants of both parties are protected. Oo, kasi for instance, there are principles of proportionality. There are principles of necessity. There are principles of legality. But I'm talking too much, no? Because the panel of jurors and witnesses are going to talk about it tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Let me ask the panel to give their final remarks before we end the conference. Can we start with Teddy?
Ako, wave na ako. Dami ko na sinabi.
Maybe just a last point, we'd like to invite the public to witness the hearings tomorrow and the next day. These are open public hearings. And thanks to the internet, this can now be live streamed all over the world. So we think this will be not only aimed to achieve justice and documentation, it will also be, I think, an educational experience for many of us who are not familiar with the issues related to violations of international humanitarian law in the Philippines. And I think there will be lessons to be learned, even if we are not directly part of the hostilities. So again, thank you to the conveners of the IPT. And everyone is invited to witness the proceedings.
Yeah, thank you, Teddy. And also a reminder for the public that the tribunal schedule, a public calendar will be available on the website. Go to peoplestribunal.net/stream if you want to watch it live, including the schedules of the sessions. Rose?
So thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you for your ears. You were able to listen to us. Please hear us more tomorrow and the next day. And just want to say that the story of the building of indigenous schools is it's all about unity and solidarity. The unity of those communities who built their own schools and the solidarity of international and national communities for their warm efforts and listening to this deprived individual. So please attend tomorrow and hear us more. Thank you.
We really appreciate. this kind of platform, since we are deprived back in the Philippines, let alone the rising statistics and figures of victims of not only human rights violation but also to international humanitarian laws violation continue to increase. We may not, again, I would like to emphasize there is no prosecutorial power. The results of this tribunal could not be possible to be executed or to be enforced by proper or formal international bodies. But let it be a reminder, but the documents, the findings, the testimonies that we will be presenting are substantial, not only supplemental, in proving that the duty bearers committed these violations. And again, I would like to re-echo Attorney Edre Olalia's, their time, their day in court will come sooner or later.
I'm also inviting everyone to attend the tribunal tomorrow. It is important for us victims to have this court because in the Philippines, in our court, if you're a victim of state forces, you're the ones who's carrying the burden of proving that you are a victim. And it's really a burden. I mean, back in the Philippines, I was in a witness stand proving our court that I am a victim of enforced disappearance and fake surrender. So it's really important for us victims to have this kind of court, a people's court. And also, I'm really hoping that the Philippine government will attend the tribunal tomorrow to have the integrity to face the crimes that they have done to us. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, on behalf of the two conveners of the International People's Tribunal, thank you to the media who have come along and zoomed in, and thank you for your questions. I think, as we have said today, the talking will be done in a judicial, quasi-judicial way tomorrow and on Saturday. And it is the evidence presented, the way it is presented, and the determination of the People's Tribunal that I think will make a difference. And although there is, has been said before, no mechanism to, if you like, to enforce those decisions, we can see even in the formal global tribunals such as the ICC, how they can be distorted by the great powers who are trying to actually make sure that the rulings and evidence do not go against them. So I think this in some ways has more integrity than many of those other places. And it's going to be what comes out of it and what we can do with that body of evidence in the short and medium term that will be the most important.
We'll see you in the People's Court.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This is the end of our press conference. I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of our friends in the media to also attend a scheduled press conference on May 19th, which will be after the verdict. So that will be a space to talk about the verdict once it is out. We will send details in the next few days for that press conference. Thank you, everyone. And if there are requests for interviews, kindly approach us here for scheduling. Thank you.